Welcome to SoundBreaker. In today's episode, we're talking to Ornagh Lynch and Ben Dawson, who are both the founders of at immersive.es. Ben, Ornagh, pleasure to have you on the show. For our
Pleasure
listeners
to
who
be
might not be
here.
familiar with each one of you, yeah, absolutely. If you don't mind, give us a quick introduction and we'll jump right into it. I'm extremely intrigued. I want to find out more about immersive.es.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you for having us. I'm Ornagh. I'm an XR
Likewise.
artist, co-founder at Immersives. Main role there is as art director, but also doing many other things while there to make this happen. Yeah, excited, very happy to be here. Thank you for having us.
My pleasure, Ben.
I am Ben Dawson. I am a co-founder of Immersives, and we have a platform that we're really looking forward to telling you all about, which sits within the music and wider XR spaces. I come from a history of music and XR for all of my career.
This is a great partnership, I have to say. Just reading both of your bios, and Ornagh is being an artist herself and also uh, into technology. You also an artist and technology. So this is amazing. We're combining both because really that's what leads or what drive actually the music business that we're in. You cannot just say music at all. You got to say the music tech now. You got to add the word tech, but that's what really kind of the I would say the thriving force behind the music business in our era right now. Ornagh, Ben, um, how did this whole idea came about? How it developed, and how did you guys first meet to bring this idea? And what was the main focus and the vision behind it?
Brilliant. So, if we start with how we met, potentially, so we both live in a town called Hastings on the south coast of the UK. I had been involved with VR since the very beginning. In fact, in 2011, I had created one of the world's first album apps with an artist called DJ Vadim, who I'd been working with for some time. That had progressed to working with bands like The Who on their 50th anniversary album app. And then had gone on to be one of the founding team of a company called Melody VR, which live streamed gigs from around the world and went on to acquire Napster. Really passionate about both the music and the XR spaces. And one day I met Ornagh outside a lovely pub on the seafront of Hastings. And we discovered that we speak the same language and have been friends ever since. And when the timing was right, we had this idea to take forward and are thrilled to do so with our other co-founder, Ian Funnell, who also came from Melody VR with me.
Interesting. It's funny. AR and VR back in the day. Now they found a new word for it, which is called metaverse, but it's the same actually.
Yeah, XR in general, an umbrella term for all these exciting new technologies. And I think that's what we met, in such a small town. And it was very unusual back then as well to have someone who could really even understand what you were talking about when you were talking about these technologies. So it was really cool to like bond over that. And then also, discover our backgrounds and our histories that we all kind of started from a place of working with bands and in music. Myself, I have my own marketing and art direction service for bands that I was working with in Camden, working with kind of old school bands from the 70s. And then I progressed into, creating a service for them and working with various bands and different musical acts. And then through my work with them, I had this idea of improving the nightlife experience for, fans to get closer to the acts that they love. So I went on a bit of a journey on the startup scene, developing an app that could kind of be an experience from the moment you were searching for music up until through the night and thereafter, keeping and enhancing memories. And when me and Ben connected not only over VR and XR, we discovered that we both had this separate idea that was so similar, and we put our heads together with Ian to think about how we could use the technology that was around today to enhance the experience and create a really great before, during, and after experience for acts from the moment they bought their ticket that lived on afterwards as a memory of what these amazing nights can be, and in that process connect people closer than they've ever been before to the acts that they love. So it's been a beautiful journey so far in taking this forward, and we've been supported luckily by different accelerator programs who believe in us, and so we've been on this kind of magical journey ever since. Yeah.
Amazing. Definitely want to dive into immersive.es and see how it's going to improve and enhance and advance the experience and in the music industry itself. There's so many great tools out there right now appearing, but yours kind of stood out for me because it's very unique. So I really would like to kind of go through the whole process of immersive and how it works and how to benefit and all of that.
So, I mean, I think fundamental to music and great songs, is great communication of great stories. I don't think without uh, whether it's whether it was a concept album of the past or that I was thinking about with one of my last startups, Immersive album, or well, we just felt that there was really a moment between buying a ticket and the event itself that was really under explored at the moment
Mhm.
and could become a narrative journey that gave you wider context of the event and the experience itself and provided a platform for storytelling around an event. Um,
And around the artists themselves, the acts that you love, there's so much that goes into artistry, whether in music and the songs, that's also backed up with the art direction and the stage concepts and the teams around it. And there's somewhat, even though when people go to a gig and experience, they might get a sense of what the theme of the night is, but often that is so layered and so deep. So there's so much storytelling for artists that go beyond that. And I felt with our immersive ticket, you're able to get an insight into that, and not only in a direct way from the artist talking directly to the act and giving you insights, but also in the storytelling that they're able to build it out in using these XR technologies in a way of a world that lives past just the artist through the song. It's kind of taking them into the whole worlds that these artists create and maybe don't have as much chance to explore or show the act. So we've been exploring a number of technologies to be able to do that, not only beforehand using various AIs, but also live at the gigs with like AR integration. We just did treasure hunts recently at a gig where, the people who attended with the immersive ticket went round and activated different characters that were dancing live at the venue and collected different tokens that they could keep in their memory wallet. They could dance with their favorite characters using some of the AR filters. And again, it's just another way to keep memories of the night and explore new ways of getting this artistry out within the music and within other artistry that's going into these amazing performances.
So is immersive.es, is it focused more on live events and live performances, or
Yes,
could be, sorry, go
and
ahead.
it's around the journey that the person goes into from the moment they purchase a ticket up to the event itself, through the event, and then thereafter as well. So that it'll unlock many of these different opportunities for fans to engage in advance, during, and after. And as well as that, there's also digital journeys that they can go on. So live events, yes, but there's also digital XR experiences that they can go through, taking similar pathways to explore new worlds.
And the ticket that I would purchase from immersive.es, it would allow me to be at the event without being physically there.
Depends on the event. So some of it is based around physical events, and then we also have digital journeys as well. That people. So we recently did a show that was a live experience, but then we created a digital version of that show that people could go on the journey who weren't able to be directly there, and they could also go through and have the reward of seeing a filmed or an XR version of that journey. So it depends on what, because we're doing a lot of different events, experience opportunities. We're really trying to develop the technology to reach as many people as possible, whether that's in person, but also across the world and across metaverses as well.
so
Amazing.
we've
Go
just
ahead.
we've just been at the Edinburgh Fringe with
Yeah.
a show that Ornagh had written and directed and performed in. And this provided an amazing platform for us to create our first MVP product. And the Edinburgh Festival, I think the biggest arts festival in the world, provided an amazing forum to, I think something like 2.5 million people cross through the 3,000 or so performances that are happening there. We launched an immersive ticket around this performance, and it gave all sorts of amazing background information to the performance that they were going to see. It told stories that we weren't able to fit into the show itself, and then provided, I suppose, a proof of concept for us to share with people and show what this can be later on. Next year, we've got a bigger project, which is around the 90s, and we have some of the biggest acts within the 90s all coming together to tell that story, which is going to be launching in London at some point next year. And these incredibly rich stories from rave, from the indie bands, from art, fashion, performance, are all going to we can start from that moment someone buys a ticket, and we'll do that through a third-party ticket provider, but they will then have an access token into our product, which will then start feeding them the stories as they time progresses towards the event itself, and then become an event companion on the day, and then provide a lasting memory of that event beyond.
Wow. So this is part of the digital events, correct? That you guys working on? Because there's two type of events. There's the live events, and you mentioned also there's digital. The live events, if somebody missed it, could buy the ticket through immersive.es and go through the whole experience and even get more than just being there live also. Nothing beats being live, but there's also more, more, how should I say, more experience, because it's all about the experience from what I understand, which is really, this is the future. It's all about the experiential kind of, evolving music and experience. And that's really where all of this going.
Definitely. Yeah. That particular event is the creative director is Rankin, and there's some very big names on it like Carl Cox. There's a physical event that's being held that there'll be 35,000 people kind of passing through. So that specific one is location based. But yes, we will definitely have digital experiences to improve on. There will usually be around live experiences. In some cases, they'll be just a digital, but it depends on what the actual show is. So that one is a location-based experience, and we are very much working with the teams around what they want for that specific event. The one that we just recently did out was a live experience, but we also are doing a digital version of that as well. For those who missed it, and for us to be able to improve our digital offerings and experiment more with different technologies, because as Ben said, it was an in-house show. This is a great place for us to start our MVP, test it out, see what our audience thought of it, and kind of make our mistakes in-house before we go to this much bigger experience within these kind of big names that's coming up next year. So yeah, it depends on the experience. For us, we are, we're pioneers of XR, and we want to incorporate that as much in to storytelling and use that, because we have these new tools that have never been around before that allow you to access different dimensions, and you no longer have to be in a static place. So we're very much pushing forward how we build these worlds and languages, and how they continue on past the event and have their own lives and can kind of grow using these AI technologies and by the interaction of the people who come and join these experiences.
So pretty much, basically, but focused on music performances, whether it's live performances from concerts to big DJ gathering and events that happens in the summertime, or any things like this, correct? Music concert events and any artists.
We're absolutely focused on music and location-based entertainment.
Correct. Yeah.
In this first juncture, but we see that this product has all sorts of ramifications in terms of that live event market. So, I mean, at Melody VR, we were pretty much the kind of market leaders in XR for live streaming of gigs, and for this next venture, I kind of missed that the live events that I'd been putting on previously. But coming up with a digital product that enhanced that live offering was really fundamental to what I was trying to achieve. But ultimately, there's then an opportunity to kind of take these experiences digitally as well.
I mean, it's funny you say that. This is what I've been preaching since I started SoundBreaker from about a year and a half ago. And I had so many different people, great, amazing, innovative people in the music business, some with startups, some been around the business for a long time. And it's all, I always said it's, the next era of the music business in all aspects of it. Streaming is good, but as there was physical first, then streaming came. And I think right now, a lot of artists and the industry itself facing a lot of challenges of revenue and losses of people kind of the streaming music, especially the younger generation. They would rather go into something that would give them more experience. Everybody wants to be part of it. The user became the creator, and they want to engagement and participation. It's all about the experience. That's why I would say the first part of experience was TikTok, and TikTok kind of brought in where create your own music or take some music and create your own viral experience into it, and that kind of bought into it, and that's why they gained all of this popularity and became the number one social media app and with all the followers and the users. So, and I said, then that's going to open the door to the future of how do we going to consume content. We'll start with music first, then the visual follows also. But what you guys doing is aligns with the I would say the gaming industry. It's always been ahead of the music business, way ahead of it, the gaming industry with VR and or XR and all of this we're talking about. The gaming industry been really, really ahead of it. I would say, what are you guys doing? It is the future that we're in right now. And this is what needed and what's need to happen, and the experience that you guys building on. This is the future. And I think the future of listening to music is no longer going to be just listening. It's going to be participant, to participate, to have that experience, whether it just, right, a lot of these platforms out there, experiencing this losses of fans, of users, and all of this, and less every quarter and every year, and we're seeing it. And I think you guys on the right path, and I think this could grow to many different avenues. Sorry to take the mic from you guys, but I'm kind of excited and I'm really focused on what you guys saying, because it's exactly what I've been thinking about, I would say, for over a year. The experience, the experiential, and that's what people want. They want more. If they cannot attend a live event, whether it's a concert or big DJ gathering, then there has to be another way to do it, where the fan or the user, or whatever you want to call it, become a participant into it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think one of the big themes going forward in the music industry is about world building. Our artists, if you look back to the product of the past, I don't think anyone ever really bought the music. You could listen to, you could rip things, you could record them off the radio days previously. It was the packaging. It was you bought a product, and that product was filled with artwork and musings, and it gave you some kind of social currency around being able to share that with your friends. It gave you an object, and so I think that has been lost from the kind of the digital offerings. Back in 2011, when I created this business, Immersive Album, I really wanted to create a new digital format that was all about the art, about interaction, and allow you to open a digital album cover into a 3D world. And so I kind of worked with my team then to explore what that might look like, brought in some of the concepts from gaming and brought in that interactivity, both with the music and the visuals. In fact, you could swap between different beats and bass lines while listening to it, while interacting with 3D objects. Or we created GPS albums, so the actual experience of listening to that music was different from one side of the road to the other. was you could put in any one of the variables to kind of control this interactive sequencer, which would then present the music and the visuals in new and different and unique ways each time you listened. That when we worked with the Who, we ended up getting into Universal Music on a kind of deal with them to explore what things might look like in the future, and it was a fascinating time. And during that time, kind of the first Kickstarter of VR was released by Oculus, and we got a chance to port all of this material that we'd been working for into VR for the first time and explore what the album of the future might look like there. So to me, this is with the passage of time and through the live streaming business, this is a wonderful opportunity to bring together all of these different strands that I've been exploring for about 15 years, and work with Ornagh, who's been looking at things for through a different lens and through the same lens for all of this time together to really create something of some meaning, I believe.
Well, both of you, I mean, Orna and you, been amazing. From just listening to you on the show here and talking, you both had this idea a long time ago, and you guys were ahead of your time, really ahead of your time, and you guys seen the future. And it reminds me, I had an interview with the gentleman who started, Scott Cohen, who started the Orchard, and he seen, him and his partner Richard, and he was ahead of his time. Like nobody thought of it. It wasn't even digital distribution, wasn't even on the agreement itself. Nobody thought of it. They had to, major labels and everybody had to go back and re-sign agreements and all of that. And how the journey sometimes it could be a lot longer if you're ahead of your time. But then success is imminent. It's going to happen. It's right there. It's just a matter of everybody start adapting, and then it went from physical to digital, and now from digital to you guys, to that immersive way of an experience. I would call it immersive experiential kind of era. And are you guys combining blockchain to it? Because you mentioned tokens.
So there is. I mean, in our MVP, we've not included any blockchain technology, but I've just been involved with a business that Melody VR went on to acquire Napster, and for those last couple of years, I was exploring what Napster as a peer-to-peer blockchain platform might be. And then the business was acquired by the blockchain Algorand. So I've certainly got some experience and some thinking that I've done already about how these technologies can be integrated and what that could look like and how it could be expressed. I think the jury is out onto exactly which technology stack we go with. But I feel that it shouldn't be marketed as a blockchain technology. It would be kind of marketed as a product unto itself. But whether you then use some blockchain behind the scenes, I think is very potential. But yeah, let's leave that for.
Current answer is no.
Current answer is no.
I would say, immersive.es is definitely the future of live performances, and I would say music videos, and also the future of listening to music, consuming music on a daily basis, where, because everybody wants to experience. Everybody doesn't want to just sit and listen. Nobody have that kind of, time or kind of patience or the span of just like, whatever, just listening. No, it doesn't work this way. Everybody wants to participate, wants to do something. The mind cannot just anymore. That's why short form content works amazingly. Nobody could just sit and listen to music without doing anything, without being part of it, being involved in it. Yes. And you guys on it. I wish I met you guys a year ago. How long has the platform been? How long this whole thing? Okay, you mentioned you started 2011. So how long you guys been at it together?
We've just been. I actually came on 4 months ago as co-founder. So it's been a pretty quick journey. So we've been Yeah, we've been on a number of accelerator programs supported by the BFI, Creative UK, by CoStar Labs, which is the national labs for XR. So we've become highly supported and had a lot of people behind the idea and have kind of been traveling around the country gaining support for bringing this forward. So it's moved quite quickly. Ian and Ben were co-founders last year, a year ago, and then we restructured the business for myself to come on and join the guys to take it forward now in this exciting new period where we have this kind of support. As Ben mentioned earlier, we've just done our like MVP in Edinburgh. So because we were had this concept of integrating XR into a live experience, we really wanted to go through the process from start to finish. I got an opportunity to bring a show I was working on to the Fringe, and then we took it forward as an Immersives production as our MVP for Immersives. So we were able to go through the whole process from scratch, work it and tell a story, which we did, and we launched for a show in Edinburgh. And you would get your immersive ticket in advance, and it gave you an immersive story around the show, brought you to the venue. You could interact with the XR at the show, and you have a memory wallet that you can keep for memories after. It was really well received by the press. We got 4 stars in The Guardian, 4 stars by Art Desk, and numerous bits of positive feedback that so sold out. I think the overwhelming feedback from The Guardian, from all the national newspapers and stuff, was no one had seen anything like this before. It had not been done, and we are doing something quite unique in terms of the live experience, is extending that layered storytelling. And as you said, it's it's stuff like Fortnite and Roblox, and the kids are loving to go inside a world and being overtaken by that whole artist's reality, with the music and with everything else. Ben worked on an
Absolutely.
amazing soundscape experience for that really integrated with the visuals, and that it was a very experimental show that was merging creative mediums, and that lived on and does live on in the app and these stories, and taking it forward to the digital version and bringing users that couldn't be live at the live experience there. So we were overwhelmed by how it was received, and now we're in phase 2 of the journey, and we're going to get more funding to launch the next phase. And yeah, we were lucky enough to be supported by CoStar Labs, and they were able to put us and use some of the funding from that accelerator program to get us support to make sure we were making the right tools to build the app. And Ben was working with them quite late nights and long hours to do that. I don't know if you want to say something else.
So, I mean, I've then subsequently been using AI as a code pairing partner to extend what we have had, but based on the right frameworks. And I think it's a very exciting time for an entrepreneur now to be able to utilize AI to help them bring their dreams to life. Having been through this process a number of times in the past, to get that MVP, one might have needed to spend 100 or 300,000 or whatever it is to pull together a team to make the first iteration of one's product before one could then go and raise some proper seed capital. And now a much smaller team can make it happen with a will and a way.
And also find some very interesting experiments along the way of different ways of doing it as well through using these AIs. You had some very fun experiments here in the studio. We were using these AIs. What if our app looked like this world? What if it was done in this way? So I think it also feeds inspiration, and it's really cool to be able to use that. I think in this next phase, we obviously won't be building it internally as much, and we'll get a bigger team to help us with that. But it's been amazing to be able to create something this advanced with such a small team. And that has stood to us, in Edinburgh, and, I'm beyond in telling these stories as well. Like, what's possible? We keep on finding new AIs that integrate and give us more opportunities of what could be done, from an artist perspective, from the manager's perspective, from the user perspective. It's as Ben says, an exciting time to live in, using these tools in experimental and fun ways, and makes maybe things that could have been slightly more painful and more enjoyable and more creative in the process.
If you don't mind me asking, you don't have to answer. How much money you guys raised on your first round when you started?
Well, so I mean, we have done this through kind of blood, sweat, and tears at this point.
I see. from the
That's
conversation.
so. I mean, now we've just worked on this production in Edinburgh, and we were able to kind of borrow, well, essentially a small friends and family round to make that entire production happen and to build out our MVP into that product. But that hasn't. Well, we've now got an opportunity to raise some decent seed money, and we're middle of the way through that process.
Yeah, our accelerator programs, so we're still not closed. We're still on two of them and improving our pitches. We just got back from Edinburgh a week ago. So we're very much just bang into a new phase, taking what we've done, improving on it, finishing our accelerator programs, and then going to continue to have more meetings and go into the next round.
Great. Well, I say this from genuinely, immersive.es and Ornagh and Ben. Definitely, you guys are on the right path. We don't want to forget Ian. He's the third partner. He's not with us today, but we also give him the credit that he deserves. Definitely, I would see you guys the future. Definitely, you started ahead of your time, but perfect timing for it because there is a need for the new era and new generation of a new way of consuming music, being part of music, and carry on this legacy of music because music's not going to disappear. Music is part of us, part of our lives, and AI is not taking anything. AI just a tool going to help us go forward and enhance and make things better and faster and easier. That's what technology is supposed to do. Convenience. We're not supposed to work harder. We're supposed to work smarter. And AI is a new era, a new tool for us, the humans to use, take advantage of, to grow. You know, and music always been the universal language and uniting people together. Well, definitely you're both on the right track. Definitely, definitely. So I will have a conversation after this amazing, insightful, and inspiring interview. Um, you're both an entrepreneur. You both, I guess, don't give up that easy. Based on the characters and the way you guys told your story from the beginning, I'd like to get some, I would say, some wisdom or wise words for other entrepreneurs like yourself, who always they might be ahead of their time in thinking and building something, and they get disencouraged because there are surroundings. People say, nobody wants that. They want this. This is no, I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. So you guys been through that, I'm sure. And nobody, I don't know how many, you've been at it since 2011. And, nobody was talking about immersive technology. They were talking about it, but not in the sense that both of you kind of had it built in your mind.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, like, just in terms of this journey as well of taking immersives forward, it's, I would just say it's just genuinely about not giving up and trusting your gut and being creative and being open to experimentation and what direction the journey takes you on. I think sometimes people can get a project, they can give up basically in that, or they can be rigid in the way that they want to do things, and opportunity comes in different ways. This project for me started many years before I met Ben, in one direction, one way, when I was young and on the startup scene and trying so hard to push this idea forward, and was a lot of work. The idea grew and grew, and though I had a lot of support, it was really just me and a handful of people trying to push something forward. I hadn't had that experience in work being an entrepreneur. I'd done a couple of small businesses, so I thought I was, big enough and strong enough to take on a startup at that point, and I did well. When I was exhausted from that, I said, right, what's the easiest thing I can do? And I started holding a collaborative events for artists in general, based around music again, and political themes. It became, we moved into art, and it took a slightly different direction. And then I stayed in immersive experiences then for the next few years, building my different real world immersive environments, and then discovering XR, and that led me down another journey. And then, revisiting this then with Ben, meeting someone who'd found the same route a completely different way, And, that idea that I'd had was 15 years before, but I'd gone on a different route. I'd made different businesses. I'd made my success. I'd opened my mind, and I'd had enough experience then that one day it came back into my life. So I feel hard work is never lost when you don't give it up. And even sometimes when you don't expect it or you've let something go, it comes back in the most interesting ways. So I feel like just like having tenacity, belief in yourself, being open to when you will receive things and how you'll receive it. I think that's for me the biggest thing now, doing, something that I kind of started 15 years ago in a way, and now I'm building with all these new experiences and tools that I've got, and it would no way have been the exciting journey, or it wouldn't have even been possible, to have the kind of technology we're integrating it. So it's that's life, you don't know what way it's going to come, but as long as you don't give up, magical things will happen. That would probably be my advice.
Well, Ben?
So I think that kind of in the past, it was all about survival of the fittest. That was what was seen. I suppose we took that from Darwin. It was about your business winning. And I think this next era is about survival of those who collaborate the best. And you're really trying to kind of create an ecosystem or fit into an ecosystem around you. So I think it's about certainly working out what you're trying to achieve, but then I think it's about kind of trying to fit yourself into that network and trying to become a part of something bigger than yourself, whether that's within the context of your own little business, your startup. You're trying to kind of work together with a team who are as passionate about that product as yourself, and you're trying to make sure that you've got the right complementary skills around you. And then within the context of the wider industry, you're trying to take up position within a network and add value to the entire ecosystem.
And on that as well, it's also like another thing is like trust the nicheness in you, trust the weirdness in you, or the individuality. It's like sometimes, as Ben said, you're like trying to fit into a set of rules to be competitive. And what I found, especially about our stuff, is if we hadn't have taken this unique chance and believing and really getting into the exploration of something new and exciting, we wouldn't have that exciting element, that edge in our business that people were seeing when we were in Edinburgh. And I feel like it's important to stay true to who you are. And in that way, then you're able to, like, we had such a unique team from people from my past businesses, people from Ben's, who could come together to make this really amazing, inspiring group of people who we can really trust. And I think that comes out in the exciting things that we're making now, because we've built people who believe in that uniqueness. And I think, like, yeah, be niche, don't give up. What was yours?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's cooperation rather than dominance. I think that's I think the message that I'm trying to take forward for these next generations of business. But I suppose what really excites us is exciting senses, and I think you've got to do that around the context of a narrative, of a story, and that kind of bring it. It's the synesthesia of it all. Like we're trying to create more rounded, more immersive experiences, and that I think is the future.
100% the future. I vouch for that one. You heard it here at SoundBreaker. These guys are the future. Immersive.es, Ornagh, Ben, Dawson, and Ian. You guys founded something, and you're on the path of a big major thing. So we're looking forward to, and this is only the beginning of the journey. We're not even in the middle or towards the end. No, in the beginning. So there's a lot more gonna come. I definitely enjoyed talking to both of you. It's been an amazing conversation, talking about something that it aligns with what I've been thinking for the past couple of years, and I know this is the future, and that's where music, I would say, and content and all of that's gonna be heading that direction to consume. The experience is the biggest thing right now. Everybody wants that. It was a pleasure having both of you on the show. Really, I want to thank you again. And this concludes today's episode of Soundbreaker. Please make sure to follow us on social media and stay tuned for our next episode. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Brilliant.
Bob. Cheers. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Bob.
My pleasure. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share the SoundBreaker podcast. And if you are joining us on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time.